Welcome to the Super Bowl 57 edition of One on One live from Radio Row in Phoenix, Arizona. We are now joined by the second overall pick by the San Diego Chargers, 4 years in the NFL, Heisman finalist out of Washington State's Ryan Leaf. Ryan, thanks for being with us
You
today.
bet, boys. Happy to be here.
Appreciate it. Well, I just want to get your first impressions of Radio Row, how the week has been treating you so far, and what's it been like being here in Phoenix?
All right, so this is the 8th consecutive year for me from doing this from this point of view. It's starting to kind of come back. Miami a few years back was maybe the most crowded I'd ever seen it. It was just maybe a big reason why COVID became such a big thing right after that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the last few years, a lot more space, not as many booths and things like that. It feels like it's starting to kind of generate speed again. And I've been here since Monday. You know, it's a lot of fun. I get to see a lot of people. This is kind of the time you catch up with people you hadn't seen in over a year. Around the football aspect of things, you almost kind of forget about the game a little bit because you're just having a lot of fun and interacting and getting to meet new people and do some fun things like this. So, yeah, it's been a good week.
You talk about that Super Bowl in Miami. That was Patrick Mahomes' first Super Bowl. Since then, now this will be his third. Obviously, you know a thing or two about quarterbacking. What makes him so special?
I think he's so diverse, right? I mean, I don't know if you've seen a better transformation from what an offense looked like a year ago or for the last few years in Kansas City to what it looked like this year. And instead of regressing or having really struggled with that transition, he's flourished in it. In fact, he's probably going to be the MVP of the league when the season's all said and done. And he's done it mostly from the pocket this year, right? And not with the elite wide receivers out on the perimeter like he's had before.
Ryan, I want to ask and go back to, the year for you, Heisman finalist, like I mentioned at Washington State. Just take me through that season for you. How did you feel, or why do you think you were so locked in that year and obviously had such a good season?
Well, it's my teammates. I had 5 wide receivers it's rare that you have 5 guys, and we would spread the teams out and we'd have all 5 of them out there on the field at one time. My head coach was incredibly smart. He was the first really inventor of a one-back spread system, and he did it so well. He produced quarterbacks like Mark Rippon and Drew Bledsoe, myself. He's really, really, really smart when it comes to what to do offensively. And then I had been with the guys for a couple of years now, right, and been in this offense for 3 years, and we were finally given an opportunity to kind of you take the handcuffs off a little bit, and away we went. And then I think a big part of it is how we started the season. He scheduled it a little differently. We opened the season with UCLA and USC in conference, which was a huge deal, and we went and won. And we won them both, and that really kind of propelled us, gave us that confidence, and we went the entire year, won the championship for the first time, played for the national championship, of course, and all the things that came with it. He was coach of the year. I was, first team All-American, a Heisman finalist with 3 guys that would go on to play in the NFL and become NFL Hall of Famers. So it was a really special year, one that I look back on fondly.
And looking at, the college game and even the pro game back, when you played, how different is it then compared to now?
Well, the pro game's become more like college football, really. And I think it's a big reason why quarterbacks making the leap from college to pro have had more success early on. Is just because the game has gotten more spread out, because it's become more about offense. Back when I was playing, defenders didn't have to worry about whether they touched the quarterback or not. They were going to take their head off, right? They could do whatever they want, and you couldn't go across the middle of the field without getting decapitated, right? So all of those things have changed, and now it allows for the quarterback, to have a different kind of skill set and be much more efficient and much more successful from the pocket than they ever could, in the mid to late 90s.
Ryan, you talked about, your receiving group and your offense at Washington State. I know you know a lot about offense, but also as a quarterback, you know plenty about defense as well. And I want to talk about the Eagles defensively in this year's Super Bowl. How much pressure and how problematic is it for a quarterback to face such a dominant defensive line like the Eagles bring, and the pressure they're going to try to present on Patrick Mahomes?
Well, it changes what you're going to do offensively. I'd expect to see Kansas City get the ball out of his hand really quick early on, right? Really get after those defensive linemen who are just tearing off the line of scrimmage, getting the ball out of his hand before they can actually reach him. Then they have to turn around and run sideline to sideline to try to make a tackle, right? Get them winded, get them tired, make them feel uncomfortable because and not have that confidence of getting to the quarterback and getting them on the ground like that. whatever's going on in their mind, that just bolsters, gives them more adrenaline or whatever it does when you get a quarterback to the ground and you've done your job. So I expect to see a lot of that. So it changes what you do offensively, because I think they would like to have Patrick Mahomes sit back there and maybe kind of purvey and survey what's going on defensively, but you just don't have the time with this defensive front getting after you.
Moving over to the offensive side for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, phenomenal quarterback, but his first Super Bowl, kind of his first big run to the Super Bowl. You played in a lot of big games, college, pro. He did too. But in those big games, what are the mindset in the week leading up, the days leading up to that game?
Well, I think you're anxious. You want to play, So I think for me as a player, I just wanted to get hit. So Coach would in the script, either the first or second play, he would call some sort of quarterback draw or something for me where I could feel the contact, feel the dirt, on my knees or in my hands and stuff like that. And then I was ready to go. And I think that's kind of the same way that Jalen goes about his business. We'll see how much they set up the running game by throwing early like they have all year long, how healed up that shoulder is for him. We're going to find out a lot in the first quarter about both quarterbacks and how, fully healed they both are.
Ryan, now working with PointsBet here, I'm very curious. Going into this game, give me a pick that you think is obviously something that you're confident in, something that you would ride with, maybe a favorite, or something that maybe you might steer away from, maybe a certain selection or a pick you might.
Anything can happen in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So you never quite know. This year the line's so so near a pick 'em. A money line might be the best way to go if you feel good about a team, simply because you'll get a better value. Especially if you go with the Chiefs the money line, you'll get a little bit of better value. I like the Eagles minus the 1.5. I think that they're the better football team ultimately. The defense gets to Patrick, kind of makes some mistakes, similar to what happened in that Tampa Bay Super Bowl a couple of years ago, where he was on a bit of a bum leg too. The difference in that game, the offensive line was really depleted. Not so much in this year. They have a really good offensive line. So I think this game's close. Philly wins by a field goal late.
Sam Davis and Andrew Gullotta with Ryan Leaf. Ryan, thanks for taking some time to be with us. Appreciate
you bet.
it.
You guys keep it up. It's awesome to see you. 21-year-olds, man. What the hell was I doing at 20?
bigger things.
Playing quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right?
Nothing to slouch over for sure. We'll be right back with more one-on-one. Stick around.